Today on 7th Circle Gaming, we're going to be discussing the game Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth Rising Tide. What a long title! Well, anyway, we'll move on to the disclosures. Again, pause the video if you want to read them. And we'll jump right into Immersion. The game's earned a 10 out of 15 for Immersion. And the presentation of the game, as you can sort of see on the screen, is an isometric perspective. It's all sort of near future science fiction with fairly recognizable technologies, and that it certainly seems like the units are inspired by the Apollo astronaut equipment. The spacesuits look like Apollo, and the rovers look sort of like Apollo. So it is a fairly relatable world. Agency is another thing that the game attempts to immerse players with, and the choices the players make impact gameplay success. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of visual distinction among them. I think that there was at first, but honestly, as the faction develops, that's going to be where more of the visual distinction comes in. Now, each map or planet presents some unique strategic and tactical challenges to overcome, and there's also a significant amount of statistical focus that the game uses to draw players into its world. And we'll show you a couple of examples of that in the next couple of screens. This is one of the upgrade menus that the game presents players with. They call it virtues in the game, but the sort of bonuses that can be added onto the faction. And the next screen here shows the typical research tree that players who are already familiar with the Civilization and other sort of grand strategy games will be familiar with. But it is very in-depth with a lot of statistics to pore over and consider before making a selection. So let's move on now to difficulty. And the game is earning a 6 out of 15 for difficulty. It has a fair old amount of settings to adjust, as you can see from the image on the right. But the shortcoming of it is that the options are not very well described. How they're going to impact gameplay is sort of up to the player's imagination and experimentation. So it really doesn't, it offers a lot of options, but it doesn't explain what they do, so it earns a 6 out of 15. And we are going to move on to Lasting Appeal. And now there are many different factions to try in the game, although what we have noticed over multiple playthroughs and trying all the factions is that there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of difference among them. Apart from the starting bonuses that each faction gets. Some factions are more suited to building aquatic cities, some are more suited toward building land cities, but that's not all that significant. On the other hand, there are a fair amount of planets, and there's even a possibility for designing custom planets. So that does add to the appeal. Gameplay is very open-ended, and that's something that can also appeal to players. And additionally, the game can be played for either short or long periods, which is one of the appealing things, or seems to be one of the appealing things about the game, that it can be played and then put down, and then played and then put down. That's going to be sort of down to that turn-based aspect of the game. And turn-based gameplay isn't going to appeal to everyone, but the game does keep the pace fairly quick, so it does try to mitigate that. On the other hand, the appeal really seems to fall off if the game gets played to excess, largely because what players are going to notice is that there seems to be something of a pattern to the actions of the game. So, what does the game earn overall? In the final analysis, the game has earned an 8 out of 15 from us. The Rising Tide downloadable content really seems to be essential to adding to the appeal of the game. And there's a lot of content that pack adds, so be aware of that. Even on easy, the game is particularly challenging. There is some discussion about optimal playstyles and optimal factions, but frankly, in all the time spent with the game that I have, I really haven't noticed that. Uh, on the other hand, starting options, there do seem to be some optimal choices there that will certainly help a faction or a colony get off the ground a lot quicker and grow more quickly. Now, I will say here, just caveating that subjectively, that even on easy, the game can be a particular challenge. It is an enjoyable experience that I've spent personally several hours with, and can easily get lost in this game. However, again, just to belabor the point, Rising Tide is a very good purchase if you're interested in picking up this game. So then, that's really all I've got to say about this game. If you made it all the way to the end, do the YouTube things, and that, again, that really is all I've got to say about this one. See you on the next game. Goodbye.